This story is about the classic argument, classic debate of dog people versus cat people. Everyone has an opinion on this, and I love talking to my classes about this because everyone gets so passionate about it. I fall into the category of being a dog person. I've never owned a dog, but I love dogs. I love playing with my neighbor's dogs. I love the energy that dogs have. And while I'm on the topic, I do need to also mention that small dogs are probably just as bad as cats, maybe even worse. If you're gonna have a dog, you gotta have a big dog, one that you can play with, one that's gonna actually have some fun with you. So this story is all the way back from when I was 6 years old. So when I tell this story in class, I always make sure that I know where everyone stands as far as being a dog person or a cat person, because this could potentially hurt some feelings of the cat people. This story involves a tragic ending for my neighbor's cat. I was about 4, maybe 5 years old when this story happened. I was living in Layton, Utah. It was on Cherry Lane. I believe it was a Sunday morning. I wanted to cross the street to go play at my friend's house. So I believe I crossed the street on my own. I was pretty young, but I crossed the street on my own. I went over to my friend's house, and I just naturally went into their backyard because usually that's where they were playing. They were in the backyard. I remember they had a sandbox. So I go back there. No one is there. I'm kind of disappointed that I don't have any friends to play with it. They weren't back there playing. What was back there was their kind of striped orange cat named Tiger, appropriately named because it looked like a small tiger. As a 4 or 5 year old boy, my natural reaction was to pick up a stick from their yard and immediately start chasing this cat around. And I don't feel like that is too out of the ordinary for a 4 or 5 year old. And so I'm chasing this cat around. But when I went to their backyard, I forgot to close their gate. And so as I'm chasing this cat around, this cat takes off into the front yard. Okay, and I'm still chasing it, right? I haven't even thought like, oh, they probably don't want their cat out of the backyard. So I'm running, I chase the cat into the front yard, and then this cat proceeds to run into the road. The worst thing imaginable happened. I'm standing in the front yard holding this stick, and I watch a truck come by and just drill this cat. I still have this memory just burned into my mind of watching this cat get hit and roll down the street. I'm stuck. I'm in the front yard with a stick in my hand. I specifically remember watching it happen and then just dropping the stick as if that would absolve me of any guilt or blame. From then, I remember the guy who hit the cat, the guy who hit Tiger, get out of his truck. I think he left the cat there. Well, he may have pulled it off to the side of the road, but then he sees me and he's like, "Is this your cat?" And I'm like, "No, it's theirs." He goes up to the front door and rings the doorbell. And I remember the door opening and my friend's older sister, who at the time was like, in my eyes, because I was so young, she was so old, but she was really probably only like 13 years old. She comes running down the stairs, just bawling already before she even, because she had seen it happen from her window. So and it was her cat, I'm pretty sure. Like, it was obviously like their family had the cat, but I'm pretty sure the cat originally was bought for her. It was her cat. She comes running down the stairs, just hysterical. And I remember just standing there in the doorway, and they invited the guy in so that they could talk and stuff. And I remember just standing there being incredibly awkward, not knowing how to act. I'm sure at the time, everyone in the family was probably staring daggers at me, just super upset. They probably knew that I was the one who was responsible for this. And that's really all I remember from this story. I don't remember leaving, I don't remember going home, I don't remember them saying anything to me. I do remember that eventually they bought a new cat named Tiger again. It was like the exact same cat, and that was it. Fast forward, gosh, 10, 13 years, where I am now a senior in high school. My family and I had moved from Layton, Utah to Pleasant View, Utah. I'm at Weber High. I'm a senior, and I'm sitting down at lunch with some friends, and there was one girl, I believe, who was a sophomore, and I honestly don't even remember her name. Somehow we made this connection that she was the younger sister of my friend that lived in that house when I was 4 or 5 years old. I don't think she remembered it, but when we made this connection, I said, "Hey, so do you remember you had a cat named Tiger?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, like we have this cat." And I'm like, no, not that Tiger. The Tiger before that, the Tiger who died. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I remember my family talking about it. I don't really remember Tiger." And I was like, "Well, funny story. I'm the one responsible for the Tiger dying." And I told her the whole story. And obviously, I don't think she cared because she didn't remember it, but it's kind of an awkward coincidence that I was the person who was responsible for killing her cat. I make sure that when I tell this story in class, that the kids know, especially the cat people, I make sure that they know that I don't regret it. That I think cats are awful, and I do think cats are awful. I'm exaggerating a little bit in that I think that I don't regret it. Obviously, I wouldn't want to be responsible for the death of a domestic house cat. I always love getting the reaction from the kids when I'm like, "No, I'd do it again, over and over again, because cats are the worst, and so are small dogs." That story gets brought up multiple times throughout the year. Whenever dogs or cats get brought up in class, I always make sure they remember that they should never bring their cats around me because of what I'll do to them. Anyway, kind of a shorter story for this week. Hope you guys have a good week. We'll have more stories for you in the future. If you like this podcast, or if you know other people who might like it, please share it. Help make their Mondays a little less sucky.